Hello family and friends and fellow YouTubers, it's Kim here from Kim's Country Corner, and today I am out at the Hancock Homestead. I am in the kitchen because I am going to be working on preserving the tomatoes. In the last video you saw me pick all the tomatoes and the vegetables, and today I'm going to be preparing the tomatoes to be used in salsa, and also whatever we have left over I will can. Today I'm going to be prepping veggies for my homemade salsa. I usually like to do the prep of the vegetables on the first day and then actually do the making and the canning of the salsa the next day. I like to just break my work up into those two sections. But anyway, today we are prepping these tomatoes, and we're going to be using what I call the blanching system. Blanching is where you lightly, quickly cook a vegetable or fruit for about 2 minutes in boiling water, just enough to loosen their skins and to start that process. And then you dunk it into cold water, and the cold water stops the cooking process, because the goal of blanching is not to cook it but to start it for preparation. Okay? So I have all of these tomatoes. I have this big tub full. I have this big 5-gallon tub full. And we actually have more tomatoes that will be coming on soon that I will do at a later time. But anyway, we're going to get started here. I have my pans of boiling water back here. This pan here is actually a canning blanching pan. It has a colander inside of it so that you put your vegetables or your fruits down into the boiling water inside, and then when they get finished cooking for those 2 minutes, you can lift them out, slowly let that hot water drain out, and then you take it over and you put it into the cold water. I will show you that process, but this is a blanching pan, okay? If you don't have a blanching pan, another way of doing it, which I'm going to be using today, is to simply use a stock pan of boiling water, and you put your fruits or vegetables in there, and then using a slotted spoon or a colander, you can dip those out and transfer them to the cold water. And I'm going to be using both methods because I only have one blanching pan and I have a lot to get through. So we are going to start working, and I'm going to bring you in for a closer look. Okay friends, so before we get started on this blanching process, I want to recommend this book to you. This is the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving. Not only does it have 400 delicious recipes, it also has every term, every method that you would need to know about canning. So like when I'm telling you to blanch your tomatoes, if you want a further explanation, this book will have it, okay? It has terminology, it has methods, it has techniques, it has tips, it has an explanation of all the canning materials that you would need. And so I highly recommend this book, not just for beginners, but for experienced canners too. Okay, the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving. Alright, so we're going to start with the blanching of these tomatoes. I've moved my tub here next to my stove so that it's a quicker process. At this point in time, I will not be looking for bad spots. I will do that in a later step, okay? Right now, we're just putting them into the hot boiling water. Now be careful because that water's hot. Whoops. Hot. And then I will wait until I have my pan all the way full before I start timing. As you can see, the first load, I always put a little bit too much water and then it spills over, but that's okay. I'm used to that. I'm used to making messes when I can. Canning is not a neat process. Alright, and then as soon as I have my pans full, I set my timer for 2 minutes. And then we'll wait the 2 minutes, and then we're going to transfer them into the cold water to stop that cooking process. Okay friends, so that was the 2-minute mark, and I just want to show you what's happening to these tomatoes. Let me bring one over so I can show you real quick. So the skin is splitting, and then it will like peel right off. See that? Yep. Okay, and that's without even putting them in the cold water. Whenever we put them in the cold water, it makes them even peel easier. Alright, so let's get these transferred to cold water. The colander is very easy. You just lift it out. In fact, I'm thinking about getting a second colander pan. But you just lift it out, let the water drain, and then you transfer it over here to the cold water. Okay, in my 2 roasters here, I have ice water. The ice has melted, but it is ice water in there. And then I just dump these tomatoes right in. Then, with this pan here, what I have to do is I have to individually lift those out. Now what I could do is I could take, here just a minute. Okay, and so then with this pan here, I have to lift these tomatoes individually out. Now what I could do is take this and dump it into the colander in the sink, but if I do that, then I have to restart heating another pan of water. And since I want to go ahead and reuse this hot water, I'm going to dip them out, okay, and transfer them into my pan of cold water. That's why I'm thinking about getting me another blanching pan, because we go through a lot of tomatoes, and having a second pan would just be so much handier for me. But anyway, I wanted to show you this method does work. You do not have to have a blanching pan. You can just simply use a slotted spoon and transfer. Alright, so now they're cooling off. We'll move on to the next step. Alright, so what you're going to need for this step is a sharp knife and 2 stock pans. One for the tomato peels and the bad part, and another one for the good tomatoes. Alright? Alright, so I simply just take one of the tomatoes out. You see how that just peels right off of there. Okay, as soon as I have the peeling off, I cut that top core off. I look for any bad spots, and then I transfer it over. Now, you can tell that this tomato has loose skin, but there's no slit in it. So if you have one like that, you just give it a slit, then it will come right off. Okay. Once again, you cut that top core off, cut out any bad spots, and transfer it. Look at that. Look how nice that one came off, almost in one piece. See, look. Yeah, that's what blanching does for you. It just lightly cooks it, and it takes that skin and loosens it. Some of them will have their own cracks already formed. Look at that. Did you all see that one? Don't lose your good tomato though. Alright. we go. See, that one's got its own split. There we go. Any bad spots, it goes into the stock pot. You can do celebrities the same way. I have some celebrities in here, so I blanched it. Skin comes right off. Okay. Now the only thing is with your celebrities that sometimes the core will go a little bit deeper, so you kind of have to go inward on it instead of straight across. There you go. Alright, so that's what I'm going to be doing today, is working on blanching the tomatoes, peeling them, slicing out bad parts, and stocking them up. So I have gotten pretty quick where I can have a pan of tomatoes going, and by the time they're finished cooking, I've already got this pan done. So that's what I'm going to do, is go ahead and reload my pots over here so I have some cooking as I'm doing this process. Alright, so let me go do that, and we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so I have this batch going for 2 minutes, and while these are blanching for 2 minutes, then I go back over here and I continue to peel, core, and slice. So let's do that. As you can tell, prepping tomatoes for salsa, for canning, for other dishes, not really that hard. A little time consuming sometimes, depending on how many you have, but not very hard. Sometimes I just put on music and just sit in here and just do my job and enjoy the quiet alone time. So sometimes my daughter will come over and help me. She's busy with kids now, but I really don't mind doing this on my own. Alright, so I'm going to keep working at this, and I'll bring you guys back when we're ready to move on to whatever our next step is. Okay friends, so I just put the last batch from the tub in, so we have at least that much finished. And I will probably stop after this batch so I can take a break. But anyway, we're halfway through. Okay, so out of that tub, I was able to get 2 6-quart stock pans. These are both 6 quarts. This one, they're just shaped differently. 2 6-quart stock pans full of tomatoes. So now it's time to clean up and take a break. And the first thing I'm going to do is put these in the refrigerator and then take the scraps out to the chickens. All right, let's do this. And we're taking this out to the chickens. All right, so I have these refrigerating, staying cold until I get ready to use them. You girls smell of those tomatoes coming? Did you eat up all the corn cobs? Huh? There you go. Pretty good. All right, girlies, you enjoy your lunch while I go have a late lunch. Okay, friends, so I just gave the scraps to the chickens, and now it's time to clean up in here. As you can see, the pans get to looking pretty yucky, and the cooking pans, they're looking pretty yucky and smelling kind of yucky. So at the midway point, I always clean up and start again. You know, it's not going to hurt anything if you continue to use that water, but just for my own comfort zone, I like to do a cleanup and a restart halfway through. Alright, so I'm going to take a break now, and I will talk to you all later. Okay, friends, well, I had a nice lunch with a tomato, and I took a nice little break, and so now it's time to start the second round of preserving these tomatoes. And we are down to the 5-gallon bucket full. So the last 5-gallon tub full, we got a whole 12 quarts, 2 6-quart pans. So I'm hoping that we'll get at least that much with this batch too. So let's go ahead and get started. I have my pans of hot water back here, fresh pans of hot water. Alright, and then over here I have 2 fresh pans of ice cold water. So this is round 2 and everything has been reset. I am blanching the tomatoes. That means I'm lightly cooking them for 2 minutes. Then I will take them out of the boiling hot water and transfer them into the ice cold water, which the ice cold water stops the cooking process. Is just preparing the tomatoes for whatever your intention is, whether it's to use it in a meal or whether it's to fix salsa or whether it's to can them. So this is just tomato preparations. Okay, family and friends, so I am very excited to share with you the finished produce that I was able to get from the big large tub and the 5-gallon bucket of tomatoes. I was able to get a 6-quart stock pan, a 6-quart stock pan, a 6-quart stock pan, and a 4-quart stock pan. So 22 quarts altogether of tomatoes. So I'm very happy with how much I was able to get out of those tomatoes that we picked. And we have a lot more coming on, but this is all I'm going to need to do my salsa. So If you liked this video about the preparation of the tomatoes, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to know more about what's going on in my corner of the world, hit that subscribe button to Kim's Country Corner. And be sure and come back because we're going to be doing homemade salsa and we're going to be canning tomatoes. So lots more to do before this season is over with. All right, talk to y'all later. Bye for now. Awesome day. Awesome day.